Okay, hi everyone, back again for the last part of Unit 10 about solution, and it's called colligative properties. You wouldn't really ever see the word colligative properties, you just have to know the concept. And the concept is when you take some water, so let's say this is water, here's some little water molecules, okay? When you do dissolve something like sugar or salt in it, let's say that the red is like a solute, so you take a spoon and you drop in some solute, okay? What does that do to the boiling point and freezing point, right? And you may have heard of this, like when people make pasta, they say like add salt to the water because it makes it boil faster, it makes it boil hotter. And this is what that's about. All right, so what happens is if these are the water molecules, okay, again, remember salt, when you put something in there, remember that boiling is when the water like basically escapes as a gas. So what happens when you add more particles in there is that they basically get in the way. Like these guys are trying to escape as a gas, you've added the salt particles and they get in the way. Besides getting in the way, they're also, if you remember, they're ionic, so they're going to break into positive negatives. And besides being physically in the way, they're going to attract, so they're going to hold the water molecules in. So what happens is you're making it harder to boil. So if you're making it harder to boil, does that mean you have to get the boiling point, you have to get the water hotter or colder to get it to boil? Well, if you're making it harder to boil, you're going to have to get it hotter. So when you do add a solute, it makes the boiling point go up, okay? It makes the boiling point increase, all right? Because the particles are in the way and they're just kind of holding the water in there, so it's harder to get them to escape into a gas to boil, so you're going to have to get it hotter, okay? And then freezing point, if you think of freezing as like, if this is liquid water, okay, and freezing is when you try to get them to come together and be really orderly and really close together, okay, that's freezing, where boiling is like escaping. So again, if you drop salt in here, now they're still getting in the way, but now instead of getting in the way of them spreading out, they're getting in the way of them trying to come together into freezing. So putting salt in also makes it harder for this to freeze. And that's the idea behind like putting salt on the roads, is that you're kind of locking up freezing so that now freezing doesn't happen at 32, maybe it happens at 22, and if it's 25 out, great, now it's not freezing. It's going to melt into water. All right, so what happens with freezing point is, again, these little particles get in the way. To get it to freeze, you're going to have to get it even colder. So the freezing point is going to be lower. Instead of getting it to 32 to get that water to freeze, maybe you have to get it down to 22 or something, okay? So that kind of explains why we salt the roads. You lower the freezing point. Now that water is not frozen at 32, it's a liquid, and now it's just like rain on the road instead of ice. Okay. It also explains the whole salt in your pasta idea. Yes, it would bring the boiling point up, so your pasta would boil at a higher temperature. The only thing is you'd have to add such a ridiculous amount of salt that it would be like kind of disgusting. So it's kind of true, but also like the amount of salt your mom's adding is not actually gonna make a difference. So you do have to know this, and there's a way of remembering it, and it's like you got to remember like the high one gets higher and the low one gets lower. So it's not like they both increase. The hot one gets hotter and the cold one gets colder. So sometimes people do this little alligator mouth to remember this. And the high one, boiling point, is up here, and the colder one, freezing point, is down here. And they say if you put solute into its mouth, you like stuff its mouth, and its mouth's going to open wider, and it's going to have to open its mouth wider so that the boiling point, the upper one, goes up, and this part of the mouth goes down to open it up, and the freezing point goes down. It's kind of silly. And the more you stuff in here, the more salt I put in here, the more it's going to open that up, and the boiling point goes up higher and the freezing point goes down lower. All right, so what you need to know is solute makes boiling point go up and freezing point go down. And the more you add, the more it does these things. I'm just about to run out of time in this video, so in the next video, I'm going to tell you about different types of solute and how they maybe make it go up and down more. Okay, X out of here. Oh my God, stupid notification.